It's a collaboration. The Inner and Middle Temple, which is the legal entity in the UK, part of the legal entity, have been invited here for a collaboration. So it's a law event, but because I'm the organist of Temple Church, which sits right in the heart of the two inns, they've invited me to give the organ recital here in the cathedral. That's why I'm here.
And so what can we look forward to from this recital? What will you be playing? What's befitting of an event such as this?
Well, that's a good question. An organ recital is an interesting and slightly odd thing. Not everyone would claim that they go to organ recitals, so one has to be careful with the repertoire one chooses. So I've decided to choose a mixture of what I would call standard organ fare, so Bach, because he's like the grandfather of the organ, and I'm playing perhaps his most cheerful and joyous Prelude and Fugue in G major. Mendelssohn, who in fact was responsible for bringing Bach's music back into vogue in the 19th century. And he wrote some fantastic organ music. And this piece I'm playing is based on the Lord's Prayer theme, which is appropriate because of the Reformation. And it's based on a theme that would have been unknown in the early days of the Reformation. Of course, it's 500 years since the Reformation was begun this year. But also I'm putting in a couple of what I call showpieces, lollipops. So even if people turn up not really knowing what to expect, I think they'll go away and enjoy the variety. And the last piece I'm playing is called Toccata by Vidor, and this is very much the most common choice for an exit piece for brides at weddings. And it's very, very showy and very sparkly.
We can't speak to you without talking to you about perhaps one of your most famous collaborations that you were involved with in the film Interstellar for Christopher Nolan. How did that come about? And I mean, that's a great credit to be attached to. How did all that happen and the process? Because it's not something that you were telling me earlier you're used to doing.
No, when you become an organist, you don't think you're going to be in a Hollywood movie as an instrumentalist, for sure. And it was just by coincidence. Hans Zimmer had written the score, and he had already sampled it, and he had it already electronically. And I think Warner Brothers had said, this is fine. And then he suddenly decided, actually, it would be much better if it was done by a human. He wanted that human element in his score, and he wanted to come to London. They tried St Paul's Cathedral first, but it's far too big, far too busy, can't close it. Salisbury Cathedral was another one he was interested in, far too busy, and then someone knew of Temple Church. So I got a phone call from his office saying, would you like to be involved in this? I rang my kids and said, should I know who Hans Zimmer is? Should I know who Christopher Nolan is? They certainly said, you certainly should, and you should take the gig. And eventually he arrived. He was quite happy in the end to accept if we didn't do it well enough, he would go back to his original idea. But he loved the organ, he loved the acoustics, and the whole thing grew, and we had a wonderful time. And the end result, I think, is pretty spectacular.
Something to be said as well about giving it that human feeling to a score in whatever movie. They're doing that more and more these days. There can be a lot of electronic and synthesized music, but it's always great to have. I mean, someone like John Williams, for example, is very orchestral, and he's still in that business. So always great to have that human element, isn't it?
Yes, Hans had said that he'd always wanted to write for the organ, because when he was growing up, that his neighbor had a home organ. And all his life, he's been waiting for this moment to write a score which had the organ as the core element to it. So this was very, very important to him and very special to him that he should write such a score. And a lot of criticism was directed at the score, more towards the actual balance between sound and word, the music and the word, that often the music would be louder than the dialogue, and people were complaining about that. But Christopher Nolan made it very clear that actually the music was telling the story, and actually you didn't necessarily need to hear all the dialogue because the music did it for them.
So, how can people be a part of this very special event happening tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe it's free entry, and it starts at 6:30 tomorrow. The concert lasts for 3/4 of an hour. As I say, it's a mixed bag. It's all good stuff. It's really good stuff. So to hear an organ in a wonderful acoustic, great music, for 3/4 of an hour, free, I think it's worth coming to.